Fake Lively has called Justin Baldoni a predator and, in a lawsuit, accused him of sexual harassment. A lot of people don't believe her, but one person is so firmly in her corner that she has just gone to court to co-sign her sexual harassment claims against him. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your number one source for everything. It ends with us saga. Stephanie Jones is one of the supporting players in this real-life telenovela. She is the former publicist of Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Studios. Even before sexual harassment Barbie filed her lawsuit against him, Stephanie Jones, his former publicist, first filed a lawsuit against him for breach of contract. Baldoni countersued, saying that she was let go for cause, meaning she wasn't listening to what he wanted, she was leaking information, and she wasn't doing her job well. As I previously shared with you all, Baldoni, his current publicist Jen Abel, and crew recently filed amended counterclaims against Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones, who the day that she fired Jen Abel, sent over a bunch of text messages to Team Delulu, way before the sham Van Zandt subpoena. Well, now Stephanie Jones is trying to argue that the amended counterclaims should be dismissed. And something is so fascinating about this. Let me read to you a little bit and then I'll highlight it. Wayfarer's amended counterclaims are, like their predecessors, devoid of any footing in law or reality and serve only as a transparent vehicle to vent Wayfarer's anger over the lawful exposure of its co-founder Justin Baldoni's sexual harassment of co-star Blake Lively and his and Wayfarer's retaliatory, vindictive smear campaign that followed. Here's what's fascinating to me, and if you're a lawyer, please clarify if my thinking is correct or not. Does this latest legal filing expose Stephanie Jones to more legal drama? Because thus far, he has not been found guilty of sexual harassment. This legal filing is not presenting it as alleged sexual harassment. Stephanie Jones and her lawyers are saying this is fact. And they're saying it repeatedly. In fact, there are 16 instances, 16 times where the word harassment appears in this filing by Stephanie Jones that was just submitted to the court. Each time it's brought up, it's interesting. The actual filing is pretty long. I'm not going to read most of it, but let's look at the harassment of it all. Later on, it says, Wayfarer's breach of contract counterclaim primarily rests on specious allegations that Jones and Jones Works improperly divulged confidential information. Stephanie Jones tries to argue here, I had a subpoena. But when it comes time to trial, remember what I told you a little bit ago? They will let the jury know that the day Stephanie Jones fired Jen Abel, Melissa Nathan, his crisis PR expert, got a furious phone call from Pinocchio's publicist Leslie Sloan telling her to prepare to be sued, that she had seen everything. That was pre-subpoena. The subpoena happened in October. Jen Abel was fired in August. So after Stephanie Jones asserts through her lawyer that she didn't leak any information, it's not limited to just the text messages. You also gave information against his orders to the press. They've got receipts. The filing continues saying, Wayfarer's false allegations against Stephanie Jones are hopelessly vague, failing to identify any purported confidential information with any specificity. This lack of detail is for good reason, as under no construction could information exposing a vindictive sexual harassment and retaliation conspiracy constitute Wayfarer information subject to protection. Next time harassment is brought up, Wayfarer's amended counterclaims attempt to wield the confidentiality provision of the services agreement between Jones Works and Wayfarer to suppress disclosures concerning Lively's harassment at the hands of Wayfarer's co-founder. Alleged, but that's not what it says here. They're stating it as fact. Immediately after that, they're making the argument that Stephanie Jones and her company were punished for cooperating with a legal process that brought his sexual harassment to light. This effort is squarely prohibited by the Federal Speak Out Act, which precludes enforcement of pre-dispute non-disclosure causes in matters involving sexual harassment and retaliation, and accordingly renders the confidentiality clause of the Wayfarer agreement unenforceable. Baldoni and team are also now suing Stephanie Jones for defamation, and to that she says, Wayfarer's amended counterclaims are bereft of any allegations that the allegedly defamatory statement regarding a smear campaign to destroy Lively's reputation as retaliation for Lively's purported complaints about sexual harassment on set is false. Blah, blah, blah. Later on, it says, as word of Baldoni's harassment towards Lively continued to spread, blah, blah, blah. Instance number 7. With respect to a dispute involving sexual assault or sexual harassment, no non-disclosure clause or non-disparagement clause agreed to before the dispute arises shall be judicially enforceable, blah, blah, blah. The next time another similar legal justification, non-disclosure and non-disparagement agreement, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 sexual harassment, blah, blah, blah. The next time, also when referencing law, information regarding sexual harassment. Back on track in terms of juiciness. What Wayfarer seeks to do here is precisely what the statute prohibits. Punish Jones and Jones Works for complying with legal process and bringing to light the extent of Baldoni's harassment of Lively and Wayfarer's role in retaliating against Lively. Wayfarer's amended counterclaims themselves establish that its dispute with plaintiffs arises from Baldoni's own misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us, including his sexual harassment of co-star Lively. The 12th time is in a footnote about law. 13th time in another footnote about law. The 14th time, this is good. They're alleging Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni have worked to chill discourse, shift blame, and distance itself from its own conduct and its co-founders' blatant harassment. And therefore, their amended counterclaim should be dismissed out of hand, and it's repugnant. Oh, look at this. 15th time, they mention Melissa Nathan getting that phone call from Leslie Sloan, but they don't mention the date that happened, and they say that Leslie Sloan said that Nathan would be sued and now has been sued for administering the campaign of retaliation against Lively for reporting harassment by Baldoni. Disclosure of information revealing the basis for such claims is precisely what the Act is designed to protect. She can't be sued for that. You can, Stephanie Jones. And the last time harassment is mentioned, Wayfarer, along with Abel and Nathan, had orchestrated a malicious smear campaign to destroy Lively's reputation as retaliation for Lively's purported complaints about sexual harassment on set. Well, Nice to know that Justin Baldoni is suing Stephanie Jones to oblivion. Thoughts? Let's discuss in the comments.